My fiancée dropped a bombshell at dinner. I've decided we need a prenup. Everything stays separate. I just grinned. Perfect timing. Then I dropped my own news. I'd already pulled my name and my $50,000 from the house deposit we'd just agreed on. The look on her parents' faces when they realized their daughter was out 50 grand was a picture I'll never forget. I'm 32. Right now, I'm sitting in my apartment, staring at boxes of wedding supplies I'll never use. And honestly, I feel lighter than I have in years. The past 2 weeks have been a storm, and I just need to get this out. I'd been with Claire for 3 years, engaged for 6 months. She's in fashion marketing, making about $65,000 a year. I'm a software developer, pulling in around $140,000. That's not a brag. It's just context. We'd been house hunting for months. Last month we found it. The perfect spot. It needed work, but the bones were good and the location was prime. The price tag? $420,000. We planned to put down 20% to avoid the extra insurance. 84 grand total. Here's how we split it. I had 50,000 saved up. She was contributing 34,000. Well, technically her parents were gifting her 30 grand of that, and she had 4,000 saved herself. Ownership would be 60-40 in my favor. Seemed fair. Seemed reasonable. We signed the purchase agreement 2 weeks ago. The deposit had to be in escrow within 10 days. I wired my 50 grand immediately. Claire said she was just sorting out the transfer from her parents. No big deal, I thought. We had time. Then came dinner. Last Sunday, at her parents' house. Her mom, Diane, made this huge feast. Her dad, George, was pouring expensive wine. Looking back now, I should have known something was up. Halfway through the meal, Claire taps her glass for attention. I've been thinking about our future, she announced. And I've made a decision. I figured she was about to talk about wedding venues. I was wrong. So very wrong. I think we need a prenup, she said, her voice clear and practiced. Everything's separate. What's mine stays mine. What's yours stays yours. Simple. I put my fork down. All right, let's talk about it. Her dad, George, jumped in. It's a wise move, Claire. No offense, Matt, but protecting your assets is just smart. None taken. I understand the concept. Claire flashed this smug little smile. It's the one she uses when she thinks she's won, when she thinks she's outsmarted someone. I knew you'd get it. You're so practical. She continued, we keep our bank accounts separate, file our taxes separately, and if, heaven forbid, something happens, we each just walk away with what we brought in. Even the house? I asked. Well, no, the house would be community property. We're both on the deed. Wait. What? I clarified. So, I'm putting in 50,000 and you're putting in 34,000. But if we split, the house gets divided 50-50. The nerve of it. She wanted total separation when it benefited her, but equal ownership when it benefited her more. Convenient timing, I said, trying to keep my voice even. When did you decide on this? Oh, I've been thinking about it for weeks, she said casually. My friend Lisa's divorce was just such a nightmare. I want to avoid all that. Weeks. She'd been plotting this for weeks, while I was wiring $50,000 of my life savings. Actually, I said, pulling out my phone. This timing is perfect. She looked confused. What do you mean? Real quick, if you're here for some financial karma, hit that subscribe button. You won't believe how fast her plan fell apart. Well, I said, since you want everything to be separate, I withdrew my name from the house deal yesterday. Silence. Absolute, deafening silence around that dinner table. Her mom was the first to speak. What do you mean you withdrew? I contacted the escrow company and backed out. Since you hadn't deposited your share yet, and since we aren't married, they refunded my $50,000 in full. Claire's face went pale. You can't do that. I did it yesterday. Here's the email confirmation. I held up my phone. George's voice got hard. But we already sent Claire the money. Great, I said. Then she can buy the house by herself. Her credit, her funds, her house. Simple and separate, right? Just like you wanted. I can't get a $420,000 loan on my income, she said, her voice starting to climb. Then I guess you'll have to find a cheaper place. But we signed the agreement. You signed the agreement, I corrected her. I withdrew. You have 72 hours to get your full deposit in, or you lose the house. And the $5,000 in earnest money. Diane stood up, pointing a finger at me. This is coercion. No, this is me honoring Claire's very specific request for separate finances. Claire was full-on panicking now. I need your 50,000. The loan was approved based on both of our incomes. But you just said, what's mine is mine, what's yours is yours. That was for after we're married, she shrieked. So you want access to my money now, but you want legal protection from sharing with me later? How does that work? George tried to take control. You're going to fix this, young man. No, I'm not. Claire wanted financial independence. Congratulations. She's got it. Then came the tears. Claire started sobbing about the seller suing, about losing her dream home. The seller will sue you. My name is off every document. Your signature is still right there on the dotted line. The table just erupted. Diane was calling me heartless. George was threatening legal action. And Claire was just wailing. I stood up. Thanks for dinner. Claire, let me know what you decide about the house. You've got about 68 hours left. I walked out, got in my car, and drove home. My phone immediately exploded. 39 texts in 1 hour. I put it on silent. Later that night, a mutual friend told me the whole story. Claire had been bragging to her friends for weeks about her genius prenup plan. She actually bragged about how she was getting me to fund most of the house, while completely shielding her money and her parents' gift. She had called me a bank with a proposal. Well, this bank is officially closed. The desperation that followed was almost comical. Of course, Claire couldn't get a $420,000 loan on a $65,000 salary. She tried every bank, every broker. She probably tried sketchy lenders online. The best she could get was $200,000. The house was gone. So was the $5,000 in earnest money. Her parents were livid. Not at her, though. At me. George showed up at my office on Monday morning. You cost us $35,000, he yelled in the lobby. The $30,000 gift, plus the earnest money. I cost you nothing, I said calmly. I backed out of a real estate deal before marriage. It's perfectly legal. You knew she couldn't afford it alone. Then she shouldn't have ambushed me with a demand for separate finances. That's not what she meant. It's exactly what she said. I pulled up her text message. Everything's separate, clean, and simple. What's mine is mine. What's yours is yours. He actually tried to snatch my phone. Security escorted him out. On Tuesday, Claire sent her friend Tara to mediate. We met at a coffee shop. She's willing to compromise, Tara said. She'll still have the prenup, but the house will be joint. That's not a compromise. That's exactly what she wanted in the first place. No, she's willing to give up some things like she'll share her streaming subscriptions. I laughed out loud. Streaming subscriptions? She wants $50,000 of my dollars for a house, but she's offering me access to her Hulu account. Are you serious? You're being unfair. I'm being consistent. Separate means separate. She loves you, Tara pleaded. She called me a bank with a proposal. Tara's face went red. Who told you that? Doesn't matter. It's true, isn't it? She just mumbled something about girl talk and left. On Wednesday, Claire took it public. She posted a long, vague story online about how her dream home was stolen from her by a man who was intimidated by a strong, independent woman. The comments were not what she expected. Wait, you wanted a prenup, but you expected him to pay more for the house. That's not independence, that's just using him. One of her own co-workers even replied, "Didn't you tell us you were getting him to fund most of it?" The post was deleted within 2 hours. Thursday was the peak of insanity. Her parents invited me to dinner again, to resolve this like mature adults. I refused, but suggested a neutral restaurant. They agreed. George came prepared with a slideshow on his laptop. Here's our new plan, he said. You and Claire buy the house. You put in $50,000, we put in $30,000, but the ownership is 50-50. So I pay 62% of the down payment, but I only own 50%. It's about building a life together, he insisted. With separate finances, as Claire demanded, I added. Diane tried the guilt trip. Don't you love her? Don't you want to see her happy? I wanted a partner. She wanted a financier. That's not love. Claire finally snapped. You embarrassed me. Everyone knows you backed out on the house. You embarrassed yourself with that ridiculous prenup stunt. It was never for our protection. It was for your protection, while using my money. That money is nothing to you, she yelled. And there it was. The raw entitlement. That nothing is 3 years of my life. 3 years of saving, skipping vacations, living below my means. But to you it's nothing because I have it and you want it. They stormed out. On Friday, I got a letter from a lawyer. Claire was threatening to sue me for $50,000 for detrimental reliance and breach of promise. My lawyer laughed for a solid 5 minutes straight. He sent back a letter that basically said, 1. No money ever exchanged hands between our clients. 2. Withdrawing from a home purchase before marriage is not a breach. 3. We have text messages proving your client was the one who demanded total financial separation. And 4. Detrimental reliance requires a reasonable expectation. Expecting someone to fund a joint asset while demanding a one-sided prenup is the definition of unreasonable. We never heard from her lawyer again. Things only got more absurd from there. Claire started telling people I had financially manipulated her, that I sabotaged her dream home on purpose. She conveniently left out the part about the prenup ambush. Then she made a huge mistake. She went to my mom. My mom is a retired family court judge. She has seen everything. Claire showed up at her house with tears and a sob story. My mom called me later that day. That girl, she said, is a piece of work. She actually told me she wanted to protect herself while building a future with your money. Does she even hear herself? What did you tell her? I asked. I told her she's lucky you're this calm. I've seen men in my courtroom lose a lot more for a lot less. Claire still didn't stop. She found a smaller, cheaper house in a rough neighborhood and texted me. Found a sweet starter home. You put in 30,000, I'll do 20,000. A fresh start. I replied, we're not together anymore, Claire. What? Over one little argument. Over you showing me exactly who you are. I texted back. That night, she showed up at my apartment. With her parents. And a realtor. She was clutching a handful of property listings. We can start touring these tomorrow, she said, like nothing had happened. Claire, we are done. The wedding is canceled. That's when it finally seemed to sink in. You're serious? Over a house. Over your scheme, I said. Over you calling me a bank. Over you trying to use me. George stepped forward. Now listen here, sir. You're trespassing. I cut him off. Leave now, or I'm calling the police. The building manager sent me a warning about disturbances. I sent them the security camera footage of 3 people trying to force their way into my apartment. Claire got a formal trespass notice. The final fallout was just a cascade of karma. Claire tried to keep the wedding venue, hoping I'd come back. She sent me an invoice for her half of the deposits. $1,800. I just screenshotted her, everything separate texts, and sent them back. She lost those deposits. Another $16,000 her parents had paid, gone. Then there was the ring. She refused to return it. She claimed I had disgraced her. In our state, an engagement ring is a conditional gift. The condition is getting married. No wedding, no ring. My lawyer sent one letter. She returned it, but she had swapped the diamond for a fake. I'm not an idiot. I had it appraised before I gave it to her, and I had it appraised the day I got it back. I threatened to press charges for theft. The real ring showed up by courier the next day. And here's the best part. That $30,000 her parents gifted her, the IRS has rules about that. Since the gift was only to her, not to us as a couple, and it was over the annual exclusion amount, they owed gift tax on it. About $4,000. On top of that, because no house was ever bought, the money just sat in Claire's account. It counted as income. She owed about $6,000 in income tax. Their $30,000 gift ended up costing them and her nearly $10,000 extra, and got them absolutely nothing. Claire is living with her parents now. She gave notice on her apartment, assuming she'd be moving into our house. She still posts on social media about overcoming betrayal and thriving. A friend showed me her new dating profile. She's looking for a real man who isn't scared of a successful woman. Must be financially secure and generous. Apparently, she still wants a prenup, but she also expects the guy to pay for everything. It's not going well. One guy she went on a date with reportedly told her, "You don't want a husband, you want a financier." My only regret in all this? Not seeing the red flags sooner. They were there all along. The way she'd say, "You got this," whenever a big bill came. The way she'd plan expensive trips and just assume I was paying. She once joked, "What's the point of having a boyfriend with money if he doesn't spend it?" I thought she was kidding. She wasn't. She wanted my funds, not my future. My assets, not my affection. She wanted the deal of a lifetime. What's mine is mine, and what's yours is ours. Instead, she got exactly what she asked for. Total, permanent, financial independence from me. So, what do you think? Was this a brilliant escape or a brutal overreaction? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories just like this one.